Bonjour Thomas, how are you doing today?
Bonjour.
We do it in French, right?
No, please don't.
So I won't even try to pronounce your last name, I'm sorry, I'm just French after all, so I'll say Thomas Jensen today.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
So it's a pleasure to grab you for like a few minutes.
Thank you for inviting.
No problem, it's a pleasure. So we're here at Innovate Finance Global Summit 2019.
Yeah.
And I believe you came here in numbers. So could you please tell us more first about FinTech Copenhagen?
Yeah. So we're a non-for-profit organization or an association. We've been at it since 2016. We are an incubator and an accelerator and everything in between, so to speak. We have a physical space, so we have 50 companies sitting with us. 50. And during the last 2.5 years, we've had around 100 companies going through us. And then we organized the Danish ecosystem that right now consists of around 230, 240 fintech startups, a little bit depending on how you define fintech and startups, right? But something,
exactly.
Something around that.
Yeah. So many ways to define it and to stop or to start. But anyway, talking about the program as such, so you said like 50 startups,
50
or
startups.
fintech, sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them scale-ups, who knows?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about your program in a second. Here to the UK, you came with 8 of them, am I correct?
Yeah, 8 companies we brought here. So Copenhagen Fintech as an association is here for the 3rd time. So this time we decided to bring some companies that is actually looking to scale into the UK. So that's one reason. The other reason is that we're running a global scale-up program for Danish companies. So we brought the 8 companies here to meet up with partners in the UK ecosystem. So we are arranging different meetings, pitch sessions, reception events. And then on Thursday, May 2nd, we are actually having a whole day workshop at the London Business School, where we engaged with a professor there, an external lecturer, to kind of teach them how to scale their business. Yeah.
And that's a new program?
It's a new program. It's the first time we run it. We do it together with the Danish embassy here. So we're trying to give them a little bit of insights. It's what does it actually take? What does it take to scale their business? How to fine-tune the organization and fine-tune the business model, the products, whatever that's to make it ready for the UK market. Yeah.
Excellent. You said the 3rd time you're participating to Innovate Finance Global Summit, am I correct?
Yeah.
Why do you keep on coming? So what are the key reasons that it makes it useful for you and your organizations to be represented?
Sure, I think it's a really efficient way for us to meet up with the global ecosystem. So of course UK in itself is an interesting market and
still,
still, and coming especially from Denmark, a smaller country, you know, our fintechs need to scale. And UK is a very interesting market. It's still the epicenter of fintech, and will be for many years going forward, of course, despite of the B word.
Exactly.
So we're very happy about it here. We have a close relationship with Innovate Finance also. That's why we're here for the 3rd time also. We did a MOU last year. So we're very happy. It's a very efficient way for us to tap into the global ecosystem to be here. We want to help the companies, so it's quite natural for us to be here every year.
Again, we really appreciate your time. I mean, just a couple of last questions.
Yeah.
One is Scandinavia, or of course, let's talk about Denmark.
Yeah.
You've got in Scandinavia, right, not just Denmark, quite a few interesting and innovative companies have tried to disrupt the financial services world for the last, that's almost 10 years, a long time, right? I'm thinking companies like Olvi, also in Finland, like to try to help the SME market, or Lunar Way, or companies like that. So how do you describe, or how would you articulate the key differentiators of Scandinavia or Denmark versus Europe and versus the rest of the world in the fintech world? Anything specific you find
it's a
in
good question. And it's interesting, and it's something we talk a lot about. You know, what is it actually that's our unfair advantage in Scandinavia as such, right? And I think what we've come to realize is that there's a certain Scandinavian way of thinking and designing. So this whole way of human-centered design in connection with technology. So I think many of the companies, what's special about them in the Nordics is that I think they're very good at starting with the actual problem inside, and then with the human-centered design thinking, actually work backwards into the technology. Whereas we see many fintech startups also actually starting with the technology and then looking for a solution. So I think that's one way of looking at it, and one thing we try to also install in the fintech startup. Start with the problem, solve a real problem, and then take the technology afterwards.
You would say that it's almost in your DNA, James, to start there, and not just the other way around, leading through technology.
Yeah.
Is it something due to what, an education?
I think it's I think there's one thing that is very common in the Nordics, and that's the kind of the very fundamental trust that is in the society. So there's the way we design solutions come from a place where we just have some basic fundamental trust in institutions, in how we operate, how people work and interact and do business.
We need some of that in countries like France or here in the UK, I feel. But anyway, and last question. Yeah. It's always challenging for fintech companies to scale up. You mentioned it, so to drive growth. So what are the key challenges your fintech companies, your 50 fintech companies are facing? I know it's diverse, but is there 1, 2, or 3 key challenges in 2019 and possibly over and beyond that?
I think there definitely is, and I'm not sure they're so different from other regions, but I think what we see is that it changed a bit over time here the last couple of years, whereas previously it was investments, so looking for actually funding that journey. Where I think it's more like talent now. You probably hear that from a lot of different hubs, but the talent thing is definitely an issue. Funding your scaling journey is still, coming still from a small country, so that's still something we talk a lot about. So in the initial stages, there's definitely funding. When you really want to take that journey, that's where you start looking outside of Denmark and maybe even outside of Europe, right? So I think talent, funding is probably the biggest issues right now. Yeah. Okay.
Not awareness, considerations, all the branding aspect.
Yeah, of course, partnerships and fintechs doing partnerships with the incumbent players. That's always a theme, and I think that would continue to be a theme going forward also. But I think the funding issues for scaling your journey and talent is actually the two main challenges right now.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I see a lot of synergies with what it is we do at the Fintech Power 50. So I would hope that in the near future we find a way to work together and leverage those synergies. But of course, thank you very much, Thomas. And I guess we will see you there next year again for the first time in a row.
Of course, we will be here.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Yeah.